on arrival. Alright, 10 flight, 62, 1096.
I got started here probably about 3.5, 4 years ago. Prior to that, I was working for North Memorial EMS as a paramedic. So I did that for a few years, went back to school, and once I finished up school, I started applying and I ended up at Centennial. My dad's been involved in public safety since I was, a little kid. And as I grew up, I was just watching him and seeing what he does. And I knew as I was growing up, I'd either want to do EMS, firefighter, or law enforcement. So I went into EMS. Started that, and then I realized long term that I just wanted to do something more, something a little different than just the medical side of it. And I think law enforcement is a really good bridge to that. There are some nights where you might not get a call for the first couple hours, and then, weirdly enough, midnight 1, 2 comes around, and then you'll get like 4 or 5 calls back to back of a variety of things, right? My partner and I will figure out what the patrol plan is since we cover the 3 cities. We've got one person on the west side, which covers Lexington, Circle Pines, and then the other side, which is just Centerville. Do that, so like I was telling you, we do 8.5-hour shifts. We swap at the 4-hour mark. So one of us on the west side, one on the east, and we just switch over there. So it's kind of like figure out who's going to do that, and then that really depends too, what you're going to get. Centerville, as far as traffic-wise, a little bit slower at night because it's a lot more residential than those businesses, and the businesses they do have are those 9 to 5, 8 to 4s. So they're far closed by the time we come in at 10 o'clock at night. So yeah, once we kind of figure that out, then we just start patrolling and checking the neighborhoods, driving around on the streets, and either responding to calls or doing traffic enforcement, extra patrol with, house checks, business checks, stopping out with people if it just seems like they need help with something, especially as it's getting colder. So I feel like it's such a variant on what you could get day to day, which is something I love though, because every day is different. I think we do have a lot of fun at night, and that's the thing too, right? Don't get me wrong, you still gotta go out, you gotta do your job, I totally get that, but then you gotta take those little moments too where you can just have fun with each other and goof around or joke or whatever the case is. I think one of the nicest things with Centennial, which was one of the pieces that drew me here from being with North Memorial, is that it's nice and small, where you get to have a feel for your first responders. So I think you get to know them better, you get to know fire, and then just the community members too, right? Where, compared to like a Lino or a Blaine, our population size is a lot smaller. So you get to know your community members a little bit more. So when you don't have those calls for service, and maybe not on night shift, when on the afternoons or days, right, you can meet out more so with those community members and just build a better relationship. My most rewarding calls are where it's just where somebody needs help and you can just go over there and help them. I think those calls to me are the ones that mean the most. They might not be as memorable as to pick out, last Thursday, last Friday, but I think long term those are the ones that I enjoy the most, where it's just somebody was in need for something and I was able to help them out, whether it be in a big way or a small way. One thing my dad and I and family really enjoy doing is things like back to the 50s and some of those antique cars. So I've got a 1950s Ford shoebox. So it's been nicely restored, not by me. I thankfully, it was one of those things where I purchased it restored and then just maintain it. I'm okay with that. But for the summer, spring, and fall, definitely try to get that out and just have fun driving around, going to the different car shows and things like that. So I'd definitely say that's far more of a hobby and something that's maybe a little bit more enjoyable in my downtime. It can be a very rewarding job. I mean, obviously there's tough days, right? But you're gonna have that in any job. So I think, if it's something where you want to have an interaction with the community, out of an office job, not a 9 to 5, every day is different, right? I mean, even if you got the same type of call, generally they're always gonna be with somebody different. So it's always a different call. It's something I find really engaging and exciting. So, even on the mundane stuff, it's still something different. And for me though, that's how I like to engage, is having that fun, unique piece to it.